What is going on, guys? Today we are going to be prepping the 240 for the dirt because this Saturday, July 6th, we are going to be out at Grange Motor Speedway out in Apple Valley, and we're going to take the 240 out there, but we're going to be mobbing around in the dirt for the first time since swapping the RB in. So as of right now, there are three things that I want to do. One of them is put an air filter on the turbo, which is super easy. That's going to take like 10 seconds to do. The other is I think that I need to bleed my cooling system. I have the Mishimoto thermostat in my RB and it opens at around 155 degrees Fahrenheit. When I'm driving, it sits around 160 at idle, and then it's between 154 and 160 while I'm driving, which is not bad at all because when I had the OEM thermostat, it was staying around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. We're still well under where the OEM thermostat opens up at, so I'm not too worried about anything like overheating. However, when I was driving on a hill on the freeway, it went up to 170, and then as soon as it got flat and we started going downhill after that, it went back down to normal. I think that means that I have a little bit of air in my system, so I'm gonna bleed it and see if that gets everything out, because at the desert, I don't know how hot it's gonna be. It could be like 95 degrees or more. I really don't want to run the risk of having this motor overheat, so I want to make sure the coolant system is good to go before we go out there. And last but not least, in this box I have this like honeycomb stuff, and it's actually pretty fucking cool. So essentially what this is going to be protecting my radiator. It's pretty thick material and I think it's like plastic, but I could literally stand on this and it doesn't dent or anything, I guess because of the honeycomb design, and I can fit zip ties through it, which is how we're actually going to be mounting it. So the plan is to have it cover this lower section of the radiator between the bottom core support and the intercooler, and that should leave us enough material to where we can still put some in front of the oil cooler, because I'd like to cover that as well. And like I said, zip ties do fit in here, and that is how we are going to attach it to there. We're going to zip tie it to the radiator as well as to the oil cooler. So first things first, let's just throw the filter on real quick. I'm going to be keeping this turbo guard on because on the off chance that something somehow gets through the filter and it's bigger than these holes, then I'd like to have this catch that. I know some people think that these don't do a whole lot, that because the holes are so big, it's not really going to protect anything. These ones are more for if a rag gets sucked in, it is going to just stay there and not go in and destroy your turbo. Turbo guard does have the ones that are more like this mesh material where the holes are a lot smaller, and I probably should get one, and I probably will. For the time being, while I don't have an intake, I wanted to at least have that, just because I didn't want something to just get kicked up and then go straight into the turbo and then it blow up. If you're thinking about running no intake on your turbo, I would suggest at least pick up one of these just so you have at least a little bit of security, because these will for sure stop something like a rag from just destroying your turbo. So I was worried that maybe the hood wouldn't close because the filter does sit kind of high, but it does. We are able to get our hood pins in. It is a tight fit, but for now, it's going to work just fine. Another benefit of having that turbo guard there is this type of filter has a little metal cap in there, and it's on the other side too. And these filters are notorious for that cap coming off and then getting sucked into the compressor wheel and destroying it. So having the turbo guard there will protect me from that as well. I would run a better filter, but I've had this filter for about a year and it has never been used. I bought it for the KA as a spare, never got to use it, so now we're going to use it. But just so you know, this is not going to be how the intake is going to be set up. We are going to be building an air box and having it right here and having a filter in there. I just don't have the time right now to do that. So that should seal it all up and we shouldn't have any issues about dirt getting into the engine. The only other place that is open is the blow-off valve down there, but I have it directed away from where dirt would be coming in, and it is pretty close to the filter too, so we shouldn't have any issues there. Plus the blow-off valve only opens when air is getting pushed out, so if anything, it's going to push the dust away from it. So I'm not too worried about that. I think we're going to be fine. So before we bleed it, I want to get this out of the way. I'm really curious as to how this is going to work out, so let's just start on that. It will not stay orange, by the way. I'm going to be painting it once we get it cut to size. It's going to be black. It's going to match the car. We're going to be fine. So I just wanted to make sure that it fit before we started to paint it, and it fits pretty good. Good on both sides. It's sitting above the intercooler a little bit, which is good. So everything on there is good, and we have so much material left. If we have enough, I might do the intercooler as well. I mean, because why not? But I for sure want to do the oil cooler as well. So we got lucky and we had enough for the intercooler as well as the oil cooler. So now we're just going to double check that they are the right size, and then we are going to paint them. They both fit, so we're good, so we're going to paint them now. So while we wait for those to dry, we're actually only going to do one coat because I don't have as much spray paint as I thought I did. So we'll have to see how that holds up, and if we need to do touch up, then we'll do touch up. But while we wait for that to dry, I want to put some more coolant in the radiator and then bleed it real quick. So when I bled the car right now, it actually didn't have any air in it, so that was pretty nice to know. I think I was just maybe a little bit low on coolant, but we did run it until the thermostat opened and we didn't get any air coming out, so I think that we're good on that. So while that was going, these dried, so now we can throw them on. So as you can probably not tell, we actually have the radiator one on and the intercooler one on. We don't have the one on the oil cooler because I need smaller zip ties. The openings on the oil cooler are a lot smaller than the ones on the radiator and intercooler. So with the radiator and intercooler, I was able to use normal zip ties to get it through. And all I did was I have one end of the zip tie holding it in there, and then on the other side there is another end of a different zip tie holding in the other side. There are special zip ties to do this, like when you do radiator fans. I don't have any, and these are going to work just fine. So I'll have to put that piece on at a later time, but I'll probably just do that off camera because it's just going to take like 30 seconds to do. So we got everything done that I wanted to get done, so that's good. One thing I don't know if I said it on camera or not, that coilover over there was loose on this nut here. So while I was driving, the coilover would physically move up and down and make a lot of noise. And for the longest time I thought it was maybe the fender just not being mounted securely, but nope, it was that coilover. So we tightened that one, it's all good now. And on this one, it wasn't loose at the top, but where it connects to the actual like spindle, it was loose there, so I tightened those. So now every connection point for the coilovers are tight all the way around, so the car doesn't make any weird noises anymore. So that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did. Comment down below, let me know how excited you guys are to finally see this 240 in the dirt once again. We do have older videos of the 240 in the dirt if you want to check those out. I have one up here. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.